Being part of a church community is God's plan to help us know Him more. But these days, there are all sorts of churches on offer. Large, small, flashy, understated, loud, quiet. So how do I find the right church? And what makes a good church anyway? There's an amazing range of churches available. Recently, I came across a few with some rather interesting names. The Apostolic Faith Church, Body of Jesus Christ of the Newborn Assembly in Ohio in the US. Or what about the No Hope United Methodist Church in South Carolina? Or the Waterproof Baptist Church in Louisiana? Every church, of course, is different because of the people in them. So here are 3 questions to consider if you're seeking to find the right church for you. The first question is directed Godward. Is God honoured in this church? Does the church, and in particular the leadership, love God? Are they doing their best to follow Jesus? Is the presence of the Holy Spirit welcomed here? In many respects, these questions lie at the heart of every church. Things like worship style, or whether the songs are old or new, what kind of music or preaching, these are all secondary to the heart of the people. I've been in churches where the music was off-key and the sound was terrible, but God's presence was there and the heart of the people was to worship Him. Our second question is directed peopleward. Do I feel like I can be part of this community? Remember, the church is not a service or a building. It's a group of people in relationship to God and each other. Church is about sharing the spiritual journey together. So if you don't feel like you can open up and do life with the people there, it may not be the church for you. It's so important that we feel accepted for who we are and where we can learn and grow in genuine relationships. As the proverb says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens one another. Of course, this doesn't mean we're going to get along with everybody. Followers of Jesus are called to love those they don't like. What matters is that there is a small group of people that you can trust and engage with. Our third question is directed inward. Does this church believe in God's purpose for my life? Can what God is calling me to do flourish in this community? Can I grow in my faith here? I remember as a young person in my mid-20s, God spoke to me. For my purpose, Tanya, in your life to be fulfilled, I want you to move churches. I was devastated. I loved the church I was a part of. I was so involved there in the missions work. I had plenty of friends and I had no reason to move. But God's call was clear. I spoke to my pastor and my friends and they all agreed that God was speaking. So I did what God said. I moved to another church. It was much smaller. It only started a year or so before. But as it turned out, the reason for moving there soon became clear. Soon after I arrived, God spoke to my pastor. She mentored and trained me in a way that would never have happened in my former church. I was raised up in leadership and I flourished in my friendships. It wasn't about a style or a location or a denominational label. It was about the people God was connecting me to and who I could learn from and grow with. That's what church is designed to be like. It's a life source for God's people. We were never supposed to do the spiritual life alone. I pray for each one of you today that you will find God's place in church and you'll be able to flourish in your purpose there. Thanks for tuning into Everyday God Conversations today. I've loved having you here with us. For more on the church and how to have your own God conversation, subscribe to the fortnightly God Conversations update at godconversations.com. And we'll see you next time.